I stood there with a damn pie in my hands like it meant something. A few weeks before Christmas, I drove 3 hours and 20 minutes from Milwaukee to Peoria for Tessa's family's early Christmas. Her mom, Brenda, calls it tradition. She hosts it on Thanksgiving because everyone's off and it keeps us close. That's a lie. What it really does is make her feel like the queen of the castle while the rest of us clap like trained seals. Quick note. Before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? My name's Caleb Pierce. I'm 46. I live alone now in a tiny upstairs duplex in Milwaukee, but this night happened before all that. I walked in with my homemade pecan pie. Real butter, toasted the nuts, crust from scratch. Not that anyone cared. Brenda barely glanced at it before directing me to the folding table next to the garage door. Football blared on 2 TVs. Paper plates, scented candles, noise layered over noise. The kind of scene where people smile so hard their cheeks hurt just to say they were together. I smiled too. Didn't reach my eyes. The usual chaos swirled. Ray yelling at the game, Evan bragging about some sale, Kara showing off her new nails. I tried to nod at the right times, not take up space, not step on anyone's story. I didn't come here to fight. I came because it's what Tessa asked for. After dessert, Brenda clapped her hands like a flight attendant about to give exit instructions. "Okay, early presents," she sang out. Gift bags came out of a glittery bin. One by one, she handed them out like raffle prizes. Ray got a new driver cover, custom embroidered. Evan got some limited bourbon he's been drooling over. Kara got a spa voucher and a bracelet that definitely wasn't cheap. Tessa got a new smartwatch band and a salon card. Everyone gasped and hugged and cheered like she'd cured cancer. And me, nothing. I waited. Of course something would come. Maybe it got forgotten under the table. Maybe they'd hand me a card or a gag gift. Something. The bag was empty. Brenda looked right through me. I cleared my throat. Did I miss mine? She didn't even blink. "Be grateful you're even here, Caleb." Evan laughed first. "Hey, at least we still remember your name." Half the table cracked up. I felt heat rise in my face but kept it steady. Good to know. No fight. No scene. I rinsed my plate, hugged Tessa, said I had an early morning, and walked out to my car. Drove the 3 hours back in the dark, gripping the wheel like it was the only thing keeping me from breaking something. Something had to give. I was done playing the quiet wallet in the corner while getting treated like a stray dog someone fed out of pity. Back at my place, I dropped my keys, kicked off my boots, and called Jorge. He picked up with his usual, "What's up, man?" I said, "You ever had someone hand out Christmas gifts like prizes, skip you, and then say you should be grateful to even be there?" He paused. "Wait, who said that?" "Brenda, at dinner." Whole family laughed when Evan threw in a name joke. Silence on the line, then, "Man, that's not normal. They don't respect you. Full stop." That hit different. I sat down at the kitchen table and opened my banking app. Didn't know what I was looking for exactly. Just needed to feel like I wasn't crazy. First thing I saw? The family phone plan. I was paying for 4 extra lines I didn't use. I tapped through the details. Kara, Evan, Brenda, even one called Ray's iPad. Then came Brenda's gym membership. $129 monthly, billed through my employer's corporate rate. I had set it up as a Mother's Day surprise 2 years ago. Scrolling down, Ray's streaming package for golf. I don't even watch golf. Kara's emergency concert tickets from last spring. She Venmo'd me half and ghosted the rest. Evan's brake job from April. He said he'd pay me back on payday Friday. That Friday never came. I dug deeper. Tessa's Prime account linked to mine. Uber rides charged to my card. Late-night Grubhub runs. Receipts landing in my email. Photo backup storage in my name for Brenda's iCloud. Every excuse came rushing back. "Oh shoot, it defaulted to your card again. We'll Venmo you. You make more anyway. You're the organized one." I stopped scrolling. My thumb hovered over another charge, and I just stared at it. I wasn't their safety net. I was their invisible ATM. I opened a spreadsheet, labeled the first tab, recurring, then one time, then favors. Every charge got a date, a vendor, what it was, who asked, how they asked, and whether they paid back. I color-coded by family member. An hour passed, then 2. The total crossed 22,000. I leaned back and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. I thought about every dinner where I just grabbed the check because it's easier. Every sarcastic big shot joke they tossed out, like I should apologize for working hard. This wasn't kindness. This was training. They treated me like a service. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going home for Christmas. No speech, no big announcement, just this. First boundary. Stop paying for people who laugh in your face. Saturday morning, I poured coffee into my chipped mug and opened my laptop. No music, no hype, just quiet and a steady hand. I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. First cut was Brenda's yoga package. One click, one confirmation email. $129 a month gone. I stared at the screen for a second, then closed it and moved on. Next was the phone plan. I logged into the account and scrolled past all the extra lines. Names I didn't use, numbers I didn't recognize without labels. I removed my card, transferred my own number to a single-line plan, and set a new password. When the screen said, "Changes saved," I took a sip of coffee and kept going. Prime household sharing went next. Then the sports streaming bundle Ray used every Sunday like it was a birthright. I didn't hesitate. I just turned it off. I switched autopay on 2 credit cards to a different bank. Closed the joint account Tessa barely touched, unless her family needed surprises. Updated my payroll deposit so nothing bounced back to the old setup. Each step felt like pulling a cord out of a wall. No sparks, no alarms, just clean disconnects. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't explain. I didn't warn. I just pulled my oxygen line out of their house and let them notice when the lights flickered. Monday, I was eating leftovers at my desk when Brenda called. Her voice came in sharp and confused. "My gym card declined. Must be a mistake." I swallowed and said, "Not a mistake. You'll need your own membership." She gasped like I'd yanked something vital. "Caleb, you know those classes are for my health." I said, "You know what you told me at dinner. I'm done paying to be disrespected." There was a beat. Then she snapped, "This is petty," and hung up. That night, Ray called. No greeting. "Cable app says update payment. You messed something up?" I said, "No, you're adults. Put your own card in." Silence. Then his voice hardened. "Family takes care of each other." I said, "Right. That goes both ways." He exhaled through his nose like he was keeping himself from swearing and ended the call. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed nonstop. The family group text lit up like a pinball machine. Kara sent a long paragraph about loyalty and how some people forget who helped them when they were starting out. Evan followed with, "Imagine choosing a subscription over your own family." I read it all without typing a word. My hands stayed flat on the table. Then Tessa texted me privately. "Can you at least leave Mom's yoga alone until January?" I stared at that line longer than the rest. Then I typed back, "No, we can talk with a counselor present, not like this." I muted the group chat, muted individual threads, turned my phone face down, and went back to my coffee, now cold. My chest felt tight, but it wasn't panic. It was pressure releasing. They wanted noise. They wanted an argument they could twist into proof that I was cruel. I didn't give them that. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't justify a thing. I let the autopays die. I let the decline card speak for me. I let the silence do the talking. I closed my laptop, rinsed my mug, and grabbed my coat, stepping out into the cold like I had somewhere else to be. The messages didn't slow down. They got meaner. I sat at my kitchen table that night. I opened my email and started typing. I addressed it to Tessa. I CC'd Brenda and Ray. I BCC'd myself. The subject line read, "Since we're talking about who owes what." I didn't insult anyone. I didn't threaten. I led with, "I appreciate what you've done for us, and I'm not pretending I raised myself." Then I listed categories and totals. Clean numbers, no commentary, no sarcasm. At the end, I wrote, "I'm not asking for repayment. If you label me selfish for stopping, please look at these numbers and ask who has actually been supporting whom." I read it twice. My finger hovered. Then I hit send. Brenda's reply landed within minutes. The subject line was all caps. "How dare you!" It was a wall of text. Accusations stacked on accusations. Me putting a price on love. Me trying to humiliate her. Me tearing the family apart right before Christmas. Near the end, she wrote, "I'm ashamed of who you've become." Then she blocked me. I stared at the screen and felt oddly calm, like a door had slammed and saved me the trouble. A few minutes later, Jorge texted me screenshots. Brenda had posted again. Family is forever even when some drift. The comments poured in. You're a saint. Your heart is gold. Praying for strength. My phone started ringing. Unknown numbers. Area codes I recognized from Peoria. I let them ring out, one after another. I didn't owe anyone an argument they could edit later. I turned the phone face down and stood up to stretch. My back ached. My jaw was tight. I walked to the sink, ran water, and washed a single fork that didn't need washing. I needed the movement. When I checked the phone again, there was a text from Tessa. Why would you do this by email? You're making everything worse. I typed back slowly. I will only discuss our marriage with a licensed counselor present. Not your parents. Not group texts. She read it. The red receipt sat there like a held breath. Her reply came a minute later. You're making this so much bigger than it needs to be. I didn't answer. I copied my message into a note, time-stamped it, and saved it. Then I emailed it to myself. I wanted a record that couldn't be twisted. The phone rang again. I powered it off. I closed the laptop, grabbed my coat, and stepped outside into the cold night air, walking until my chest loosened and the noise finally fell behind me. A week later, right before noon, the buzzer went off. I looked at my phone. First call, Tessa. Second call, Brenda. I didn't answer either. 2 minutes later, I heard the building door swing open down below. Someone had let them in. Heavy steps came up the stairs. My phone buzzed again. Tessa this time, then a knock, then the voice. Caleb, honey, open up, Brenda chirped. We brought you something. Let's talk before Christmas. Her voice was syrupy, too loud, meant for the neighbors as much as for me. I didn't move from behind the door. I'm not opening this. You need to leave. Silence for a second. Then her tone dropped like a switch flipped. We drove all this way. The least you can do is show respect, Brenda snapped, pounding the door with the side of her fist. Ray jumped in. We're not doing this through a door. Open it, Caleb. I stared at the wood in front of me. Imagine their hands full of shiny bags, faces stiff with forced smiles. I'm done being humiliated and then bribed with a candle, I said flat. No. My phone buzzed. Tessa's text lit up the screen. Please, Mom's spiraling. Just 5 minutes? I replied right there, thumbs steady. Not while they're here. Counseling only. Then I raised my voice just enough for the hall mic to catch it. Leave. You've got 10 minutes before I call security. Ray's boots shifted. Brenda muttered something I couldn't catch. Tessa didn't speak. They tried the usual tricks, disappointment first. We raised you like one of our own, Brenda called. I changed plans at work for this, Ray said. You're acting like a stranger, Brenda added. When that didn't work, it turned. Brenda yelled, You're breaking this family in half. Ray barked, This is a tantrum, Caleb. You're embarrassing yourself. Tessa said nothing. I only heard her breathing. Then came the guilt spin. This isn't what Tessa wants. Your wife is hurting. You used to care about us. I stood there, hand on the doorknob, but I never turned it. 10 minutes passed. 15. At 20, I heard a door open down the hall. Mrs. Whitman's probably. Their voices dropped. 3 days later, I was coming up the stairs with a paper bag of groceries when I heard her voice echo through the stairwell. He's on this floor! Caleb, get out here! My stomach dropped. I rounded the corner and saw them, Brenda, Ray, and Evan, lined up outside my door like they were staking out a suspect, a human wall. There he is, Brenda said, loud and sharp. Feel big calling security on your own family? I stopped halfway down the hall, gripped my keys tighter. You're not supposed to be here. Leave. Ray stepped forward. We're not leaving. You owe us a face-to-face. We drove 3 hours before Christmas to fix this. I could feel eyes behind doors. One cracked open across the hall, another creaked behind me. Then, Mrs. Whitman stepped out of her unit, raised her phone, and hit record like she'd been expecting this. Evan leaned off the wall, arms folded. You think these folks care about you more than we do? He said with that same smug smirk. You don't cancel blood. I walked slowly toward them, keeping my keys ready in one hand and the grocery bag steady in the other. Blood isn't a pass to corner me at my own door, I said. It doesn't give you permission to yell at me or touch me. Brenda scoffed. Nobody touched you. You twist everything to make us look like monsters. Ray took a step in, then another. I backed up till I was flush with the door. He squared up. Here's what's gonna happen. You're packing a bag and coming home for Christmas. This stunt ends today. My palms started to sweat. My chest went tight. But my voice came out clear. "No, you are harassing me." Brenda slapped her palm flat against the door, inches from my head. "You're being dramatic." Then Evan moved. He put his hand on my shoulder and leaned in like he owned the space between us. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I swatted his hand off. "Do not touch me again." Mrs. Whitman's voice cut through like a knife. "I'm calling the police. I've got this all on video." Everything went still. Brenda froze with her hands still hovering by the door. Ray stepped back, breathing heavy. Evan looked from me to the phone camera like it finally hit him. This wasn't private. "Ma'am, that's not necessary," Ray said quickly, lowering his voice like that would fix it. "It absolutely is," she said, holding the phone higher. "You don't show up at someone's home and corner them like that. Not today." Brenda turned toward her. "This is a family matter." "No," I said, still between them and my door. "This is harassment. You were warned. You showed up anyway." Brenda's eyes went glassy with fury. "You used to be grateful. Now you're just spiteful." I didn't blink. "You used to pretend to love me. Now you're just loud." Evan shifted like he wanted to say something else, but didn't. Then I heard footsteps, fast, heavy ones, coming up from the lobby. That was enough to get Ray moving. "Let's go," he muttered, grabbing Brenda's arm. She resisted for a second, then saw the second neighbor step into the hallway and lift their phone. Evan was the last to move. He looked at me one more time, jaw tight. "This isn't over." "Yes," I said. "It is." They backed away in a messy triangle, Brenda muttering, Ray pushing the elevator button, Evan watching every phone lens pointed at him like he'd just figured out who the joke was on. I opened my door, stepped inside, and clicked the deadbolt. Then I dropped the groceries on the counter, sat on the floor, and waited to hear the elevator door close. The elevator dinged just as I sat back down. 2 officers stepped into the hallway. Not rushed, not aggressive, just calm and alert, scanning the scene like they'd seen this type of mess before. I stood next to my door. Brenda was still teary, clutching a tissue out of nowhere like she'd been rehearsing it. Ray stood stiff, arms crossed, jaw clenched. Evan leaned on the wall, trying to look casual, like he hadn't just tried to shove me off my own property. Mrs. Whitman didn't say a word. She just held her phone up, steady as a rock. The younger cop nodded at me. "Do you live here?" "Yes," I said, voice a little shaky but firm. "They've been told to leave multiple times. Security already escorted them out this week." He put his hands on me. "I don't feel safe." The older one turned toward Mrs. Whitman. "You record anything?" Without a word, she hit play. There it was. Brenda slamming her hand on the door right next to my head. Evan reaching out, shoving my shoulder, my voice sharp and direct. "Do not touch me again." That sealed it. The cop turned to them. "You need to leave. Now. This is harassment. Family doesn't give you special rights. If you come back, he has every right to file for a restraining order and criminal charges." Brenda let out a sob like she'd just been told I died. "I'm a mother. I'm worried about him," Ray barked. "I'm his father-in-law. I've got a right to talk to him." The officer didn't even blink. "You have the right to call, not show up and corner someone. That's not a visit, it's intimidation." Then the other officer looked at Evan. "ID." Evan blinked. "For what?" "Pushing someone's not legal just because you're related. You put your hands on him." Evan chuckled like they were joking. "Come on, I was just trying to talk to him." The cop held out his hand. "ID now." I watched Evan fumble for his wallet, all that cocky energy draining out of him. His hands weren't so smooth now. The officer wrote the citation right there, explained what it meant. "You're being cited for harassment. This stays on record. He has grounds to escalate if you return." Ray muttered something under his breath. Brenda cried louder. Evan just stood there red-faced while the cop read the words out loud, nice and slow. That moment right there, that was the shift. Mr. Jokes had nothing to say. He couldn't laugh his way out of a ticket. He couldn't twist this into just family stuff. They left without another word. I thanked Mrs. Whitman, and she nodded like she'd seen this kind of circus before. Later that night, building management slipped a manila envelope under my door. Inside was an official no trespass notice. All 3 names listed, effective immediately. If they showed up again, it was criminal trespass. It came with documentation attached. Copies of complaints, call logs, timestamps, witness statements. Christmas passed quiet. No Merry Christmas texts, no guilt memes, no loyalty quotes in cursive script, nothing. The silence felt like standing in a room after the alarm shuts off. First it felt strange, then it felt like space. I didn't reach out, didn't scroll, didn't chase peace I'd have to pay for. But the updates still found me. Brenda's doctor apparently told her to manage her stress. Without my payments covering her yoga and her apps, she started cutting expenses. Word was, she asked a coworker to help her set up some budgeting tools she swore was for young people. That's how bad it got. She asked for help. Ray spent one afternoon locked out of his golf streaming service. I know because someone texted Jorge bitching about it. He ended up on the phone with tech support trying to reset the password and figure out how to put his own card on the account. That man had lived 58 years without ever setting up autopay. He also whined to someone about the ER bill from Brenda's anxiety night and Evan's citation. This time there was no Caleb card waiting in the glove box. Evan's bar crew saw the hallway video. Jorge's friend works at the same club. Told me the guys don't laugh at his stories like they used to. Guess it's hard to play the charmer when people picture you getting checked by a neighbor with a phone camera while a cop reads you your rights. Tessa's Instagram went quiet for a bit. Then it switched from beach photos and cocktails to picked up an extra shift, stories, and reposted therapy quotes. She texted me once. "Tessa, we need to talk." I replied, same tone as always. Me, counselor present only. She left it on red. I didn't wait for her to get it together. I called a lawyer, Lydia Cho, young, sharp, didn't blink once while I laid out the mess. We separated finances first. I moved my direct deposit to a new bank, closed all joint credit cards, froze the one she always forgot to tell me she used. Lydia helped me draft a post-nuptial agreement, mandatory therapy, financial boundaries, no third-party charges, no family access to anything, accounts, devices, nothing. If she refused to sign, it would auto-convert into legal separation paperwork after 45 days. I told Lydia to prep both sets. Then I booked a therapist. First session, she asked, "When did you decide your job was to fix everyone else's problems?" I didn't have a date for her. I just said, "I have a spreadsheet." She blinked, then nodded, like that said everything. It did. Weeks later, Tessa emailed. No subject line. "I don't agree with how you handled this, but I miss you. I'm sorry it got so bad." Not the apology I wanted, not nothing either. I kept it short. "I'm okay. Hope you're taking care of yourself. If we talk, it's with a therapist. No yelling, no guilt, no third-party charges." I attached Lydia's post-nup terms, included the date and time of the first counseling session. I also wrote, "Plain as day. If you or your family set foot at my door again, we go straight to a protection order." She showed up to the appointment. Brenda didn't. That told me everything I needed to know. The counselor didn't play referee. She set ground rules. No talking over each other. No, but what abouts. Tessa started to say, "You know Mom's classes keep her sane." I cut in, steady. I'm not her sponsor. I let the words sit there, watch them land. No anger, just facts. Measured revenge looked like this. Evan's harassment citation showed up on the golf club's background check. He lost his spot on the committee. Apparently there was a vote. Not even close. That hallway video, Brenda's women's group shared it in a private chat. Turns out the saintly matriarch routine doesn't hold up when you're caught slapping your hand on someone's door like a cop in a drug bust. Ray learned how to enter payment info manually after getting locked out of 3 services in one day. Took him an hour on hold. No backup credit card in sight. And me? I didn't post a thing. I didn't forward the video. I never had to. I rebuilt my life from the ground up. One bank. Locked accounts. 2-factor everything. No shared logins. No silent charges from people who think being related is a blank check. I installed a new deadbolt. I don't open it for surprise visits. I spend holidays with people who don't make me earn my seat. If you're wondering whether the marriage survives, truth is, I don't know. We're in counseling. She signed the post-nup. We live apart. If she holds the line with her parents, maybe we build something quiet and honest. If not, the papers are ready. What I know for sure is I'm not the family wallet they pass around while mocking me on the porch. I don't measure myself by how useful I am to people who say, "Be grateful you're here." I measure myself by how steady I am when I say no. And I will tell you this man to man. Family isn't a hall pass for disrespect. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're how you stop paying for the privilege of being insulted.